بسم الله.
I think my mom is amazing.
She wakes early in the morning with a smile, and she holds my head up high. Don't you ever let anybody put you down, 'cause you are my little angel. Then she makes something warm for me to drink, 'cause it's cold out there, she thinks. Then she walks me to school, yes, I ain't no fool. I just think my mommy is amazing. She makes me feel like I can do anything. And when she's with me, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. After school, she's waiting by the gate. I'm so happy that I just can't wait to get home to tell her how my day went. Eat the yummy food only my mom makes. Then I wind her up 'cause I don't want a bath. And we run around the house with a laugh. No matter what I say, she gets her way. I think my mommy's amazing. She makes me feel like I can do anything. And when she's with me, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. In the evening she tucks me into bed, and I wrap my arms around her head. Then she tells me a tale of a girl far away who one day became a princess. I'm so happy I don't want her to leave, so she lies in bed with me. As I close my eyes, how lucky am I to have a mom that's so amazing. She makes me feel like I can do anything. And when she's with me, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. Then I wake up in the morning, she's not there, and I realize she never was. And I'm still here in this lonely orphanage with so many just like me. And as my dreams begin to fade, I try hard to look forward to my day, but there's a pain in my heart that's a craving. How I wish I had a mom that's amazing. Would be amazing.
She makes me feel, do anything. She's with me, nowhere else I'd rather be.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Sunday's Loose Sisters, the Halal Way, live with myself, Alvina Ali, on Ramadan Radio, Wolverhampton. Now, on today's show, we will be talking about the coronavirus COVID-19 lockdown, VE Day, the forgotten Muslim heroes who fought for Britain in the trenches, and also in the spotlight, we have got Councillor Beverly Moman-Badi, who has joined us as well in the studio, and she will be taking part in the questions as well. So if you, the listeners, want to take part, feel free to give us a ring on 01902 972 150, or text in via WhatsApp on 07 440 420 432. Settle back, settle in for more of Loose Sisters. Now, like I said, joining me on the panel today, I have got Sister Zainab B and also Councillor Beverly Moman-Badi. Loose Sisters, please introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about yourselves.
Assalamu alaikum, Alvina.
So,
Thank you for having me on the show. My name is Zainab. As you all know, we've been on the previous show as well. I'm working as a probation officer for Staffordshire and West Midlands Community Rehabilitation Company, and I've been doing that for the last 15 years. I also host a careers advice show with Fawzia Asif on a Friday morning, so please tune in then as well.
okay, lovely. And
Yeah, so hi,
Alvina. Thank you so much for inviting me onto
You're
the show.
welcome.
I'm Councillor Beverley Moman-Abadi. I am the youngest councillor in Wolverhampton. I'm a Labour councillor in Ettingshaw. I have different hats. I'm a trade unionist. I do bits of work around the stop and search agenda for the Police and Crime Commissioner, and I actually also work in the car manufacturing industry as well in my spare time.
Right, okay, thank you for the intros there, sisters. Now, Britons have been urged to obviously stay away from home over the weekend during the hottest day of the year, as Boris Johnson gets ready to outline his plans to relax some lockdown restrictions. Now, the UK-wide death toll has shot up by 346 since yesterday, with a total of 31,587 fatalities, including the UK's youngest coronavirus victim, which was a 6-week-old baby. Now, another 346 deaths, obviously from Saturday. But what does it say for Wolverhampton? Well, there are 918 confirmed cases in Wolverhampton out of a local population of 262,008. So in Wolverhampton, there were about 200 coronavirus-related deaths up to the 24th of April. Now, in this area, 27% of all deaths involved coronavirus between the 29th of February and the 24th of April. Now, what we've got to realise is that we have gone weeks without seeing friends and family, without school holidays, or even being able to go to work. So the UK is eagerly anticipating the news of Boris Johnson's plan on the current lockdown restrictions. Now, the country is nearing the end of its 6th week under the strict measures, which were announced by the Prime Minister on March the 23rd. Now, the Prime Minister says we are now past the peak of the pandemic, and he also hinted that lockdown measures could be lifted soon. Now, he will address the nation today at 7 p.m. to outline the government's plan to lift the lockdown, as the new Stay Alert slogan is set to be rolled out. Now, the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is expecting to unveil a 5-stage coronavirus warning system for easing the lockdown when he outlines his roadmap to a new normally while dropping the stay home slogan. Now, the stay home, save lives, protect the NHS message is set to be replaced with stay alert, control the virus, save lives. So when Mr. Johnson addresses the nation on Sunday evening, which is today, about the next stages in the UK's fight against COVID-19, Mr. Johnson is expected to urge employees who cannot do their jobs from home to begin returning to their workplaces while following the social distancing rules. Now, he said the dates and times of each measure being lifted would come when the government had more data. But the UK is heading towards phase 2 of its coronavirus response, which will involve partially lifted lockdown. Now, Mr. Johnson gave the country a glimmer of hope when he announced that he would detail the UK's roadmap out of lockdown this week on restrictions aimed at avoiding a second peak of the coronavirus pandemic. So, sisters and also Councillor Beverley, do you think there is light at the end of the tunnel? And how might lockdown end? And what will the new normal be as well? And also, do we need to get our lockdown exit outfits ready?
I think it's probably a bit soon to be getting our lockdown outfits, lockdown high heels ready. I have got high heels on in the studio today. It felt quite nice to wear them again, I won't lie. But listen, my job in the car manufacturing industry, I work in communications and PR. And sometimes I look at things through that lens. And if you look at the government's communications and PR strategy, for me, it's been pretty poor. Just an example, I'll just repeat what you've said, that the slogan is going to change from stay at home. Stay at home is a direct instruction. people might not like it, but I think people are comfortable when they have direct instructions from establishments, from people that they trust. And we're going from a direct instruction, stay at home, to something which is quite ambiguous, stay alert. Stay alert, to me, could be something completely different to how Sister Zainab interprets that slogan, stay alert.
Yeah.
I might feel that I can stay alert alone in my home, just with the people that live there. But Sister Zainab might, for example, feel that she can stay alert to the virus, to restrictions, surrounded by family and friends. I just think it's so ambiguous that just for the communication strategy alone, we're not giving the public direct instructions, and I think that is the danger of it. It could be interpreted very differently with devastating effects.
Yeah. Sister Zainab.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. We just said, in terms of working, for example, I'm working from home and I'm going to the office on certain days. I think with the restrictions being down, how is that going to impact? Are employers going to encourage people to continue to work from home, or are they going to ask them to come into the office? And how is it going to work when people are traveling, for example, when they're traveling on trains, buses? Are they going to be able to maintain the social distancing 2 meters? Part on a bus, or they're traveling by taxi, for example. How is it going to have impact on schools and nurseries? How they're going to be able to maintain that distance. So it is ambiguous, like you said, Beverly, and we need more like guidance and clarification on that from the Prime Minister.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, people like instruction. I, for one, do. And like to be told that, very black and white and not have any grey areas. And I just think there's a real danger of that happening. We're already seeing some industries returning. We're seeing car manufacturers, construction industries returning, who are putting in my opinion, many of them adequate social distancing measures. And I think the main thing needs to be that actually, if industries are allowed to return, that they only do so when it's safe to do so.
Right, yes, of course. Now, the suggestions that social distancing measures could be relaxed has caused people to become concerned. They will be more likely, well, we do think, are we more likely to be catching COVID-19 and become seriously ill? Now, which is I'm 1 in 4 people who do think that, and it does weigh on your mind as well. But if numbers rise sharply, measures could be reimposed again in a bid to stop deadly second wave of COVID-19. But obviously there are limited changes. It could include limited exercise, the return of some sports, park, picnics, and the opening of pub and cafe gardens. Now, what we've got to remember is, however, this doesn't mean, like you says, that it's the end of the 2 meter social distancing rule, as this is something people would still be required to observe for some time. Now, we talked about working from home. Obviously, from my understanding is that Brits could be given the legal right to work from home after the coronavirus lockdown. Now, obviously, the global pandemic saw the UK government issue strict guidelines for Brits to work from home to control the spread of the virus. Now, officials at the Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy Department have now suggested making the right to work from home into a new law. What do you think about that?
I think that if this whole working from home thing has taught many industries is that, one, people can be trusted to work from home.
Yeah.
I don't know about other people, but I've been hugely productive working from home. I live with a friend, and she's a key worker, and she's been working the whole time and having to go to work. So I've actually had the house to myself. So I've been getting loads of work done.
But you've been partying as well, haven't you?
Only in my house.
The TikToks have been coming on, have they?
TikToks, yeah. What can I say?
Yeah.
I have been enjoying myself a bit too much on TikTok.
That's
actually. But yeah, I've been, I feel like I've been really productive working from home. I think that, like I said, if this has shown employers anything, it's that people can be trusted to work at home.
Yes.
And be as productive. It might not be in all industries.
Yeah.
But I think in many industries, we've seen that people can get the job done from home. So I think maybe there should be some more flexibility from employers.
Definitely. But I think in terms of people with children, for example, myself, I've got 3 children. And for me to be working from home, it's been really difficult with the school shut and the children at home. So when you're trying to get your work done, you've got your children around you. So it's creating the balance. So I think what will happen is if the government allow the schools to open and then you're allowed to work from home as well, so I'd be more productive then. But at the moment, I just feel that I'm always catching up, always trying to catch up, and it can be overwhelming because with the schools they give you a lot of homework as well for the children to do. So they're trying to do that, and you're trying to balance the home life, and then you're trying to balance the office life. So it can be quite difficult. For some people.
I completely understand that, and I've been working with different online packages such as Zoom and Teams, and it's quite funny because you sort of hear people's home lives going on as you're in the middle of a meeting
and working in their pajamas.
I've got this new thing where I dress myself the top half and then stay
I think
in
most
pajamas.
of us do that. We talked about that, didn't we?
So that where I'm on the camera, that I'm dressed for work, but actually I'm in my Mickey Mouse pajamas. It's been quite funny.
Right, Kansas, I believe you've got a phased, obviously, plan. Is there anything that you might want to discuss or pick out from those points?
Well, I think everyone is waiting for the government announcement tonight from the Prime Minister as to what that phased return looks like. I just think with the points that that I've seen that have been shared within the studio today that are some of the possibilities. I just think people want clear direction and clear instruction as to what they should and shouldn't be doing.
That's right, yeah.
And that's what I hope for tonight, that there is clear direction for the people of the UK. I mean, I've got friends abroad, friends in different countries. I've got friends in Palestine, Cyprus. And speaking to my friends in Cyprus, for example, they're almost in shock and surprised at how relaxed our rules of lockdown are. For example, they have to, if they want to leave the house, they have to text a number and explain why they're leaving their house, and if it's to go shopping, if it's to pick up medication for a family member. The number, which is linked to a government body, will then text back to give them a code which says, yes, you're allowed out of your house for an hour, this is your code. And then you're almost guaranteed to be stopped by a government official or by the police as you're going about. And if you haven't got a text message with a number which says, yes, this person's allowed out for an hour, you'll be fined €150.
Oh, wow.
So they're almost, I was out delivering food parcels this weekend, and I seen groups of people in the street, groups of friends. The weather was nice, and I think for people looking at us, they're quite surprised at some of our measures.
Yeah, wow. Okay, well, 7:00 we will find out tonight. Now, some of the predictions as well, which have been measured, you talked about travellers on transport and stuff like that. Travellers coming into the UK, they could be quarantined for fortnightly, as what they're saying. Shops are likely to have to enforce social distancing measures, such as garden centres will be allowed to reopen next week. The markets, I believe, they're already open, aren't they?
I think they're open this weekend.
Yeah. So Wolverhampton's markets have started a gradual return, but again, it's not normal. It's not business as usual as it was before.
Yeah.
There are strict social distancing measures that almost mirror when you go into a supermarket. There is only a certain amount of people allowed in the markets. There's markings of 2 meters on the floor. It's almost like visiting a supermarket. So I don't think the normal return to any of these places or industries is going to come anytime soon, but we are slowly seeing the return of some establishments.
That's great.
I think we're going to see the new norm with this when this lockdown is over. For example, the British Retail Consortium suggested that they will continue to have the changing rooms shut for until the foreseeable future. They will get encourage people to do more online shopping rather than coming into the stores. So I mean, we'll see that for a while, and I think more and more people doing that anyway, with like ordering food, for example, and also with the cinema, the streamlining programs rather than going to the cinema, because those are closed for the foreseeable future, and including the pubs and restaurants as well. So
one of the things that I hope does stick for the foreseeable future and forevermore is the sort of increased hand hygiene.
Yes, definitely.
We've all been using hand sanitizer. We're sort of surrounded by it
in the studio as well,
as well. But I can't imagine not using hand sanitizer for the foreseeable future now. And I actually really hope hand sanitizing does, continue for this foreseeable future, because, when we go to supermarkets, we normally, before COVID-19, we just pick up a basket, but actually thinking about some of those things, I'll possibly continue some of those habits into the future.
Yes,
How
definitely.
about yourself, Alvina? What you?
Again, I mean, we as Muslims anyway, we do ablution 5 times a day and stuff, don't we? So, and we wash our hands quite regularly, but it's just great seeing that. Obviously, when you're at work or when you're going out in public spaces, you see people using the toilets and stuff, and they just come out and they just walk out. But now mentally that they're all thinking now, I think you could be spreading germs obviously anywhere and anyhow, and stuff. So it's highlighted quite a few things. I think quite a few positive things have come out of COVID-19 on hygiene and health and things like that as well. Right. Okay. Now, again, this virus remains massively contagious. Now, before lockdown, one infected person passed it on to at least 3 others on average, and less than 5% of the UK population is estimated to have been infected or been put into in another way, that more than 63 million are still vulnerable. Most of us are still vulnerable, especially the elderly as well. And the government did highlight that the Asian population and BME groups are definitely vulnerable. Now, if we just lift the lockdown, then another explosive outbreak is inevitable as well. So the UK is not out of the woods, so to speak, and the UK will live with the virus for some time to come. Now, Boris Johnson is expected to address lockdown measures, although people should not expect big changes. So that is the key thing as well. So what can be lifted and when, all will be revealed tonight at 7 p.m. Sisters, do you want to conclude this topic with anything else to say?
I would just like to touch on one thing that looking to the future, because we've spoke about what might be and what's going to happen. One of the things that I'd really like to see from the government is a really ambitious economical plan. What we don't want is the UK to fall into mass unemployment. We know what that will lead to, and we know where that can lead, not just financially, but in terms of people's health, life chances, well-being. And I hope that the government will look at the schemes that they've already put in place, such as the furlough scheme, and look at more flexibility from that. We've already got the job retention scheme, but I think that as we look to the future, there needs to be some sort of job creation scheme as well, to avoid falling into mass unemployment. So that's one of the things that I'd like to see, a really ambitious economical plan for the UK.
I think that's the main concern for everybody, isn't it? Especially the businesses as well. Sister Zainab?
Definitely. And also, echoing what Beverly's just said, also look after the, childcare places. And, the parents as well, and the flexibility in that. And, hope the government considers all that in terms of the children returning back to school. And, the gap that's been created in terms of children not learning as much as they would have done if they had returned to school earlier.
Absolutely.
So, that needs to be, on the agenda as well.
And can we just place on record our thanks as well to all the different organisations in Wolverhampton, and faith communities who are out there supporting our most vulnerable day in, day out. The
Yes.
Sikh Toy Appeal charity in Wolverhampton being one that I've worked with closely, but lots of other faith and voluntary groups as well.
Brilliant,
For
brilliant.
example, the Wolverhampton Outreach Program, they're helping out a lot and doing a lot of volunteering. They're taking food to the elderly, and you know,
Excellent.
so they're doing a really good job. And also the Shepherd,
The Good Shepherd Trust,
in Darlington Street, they're doing really well as well, because they've got food parcels for the homeless and people who need them, really.
Fab.
Brilliant. Okay, just going to go into a text message that's come in, and it says, "Great show, Sister Alvina. Great to hear such relevant topics being discussed. Thank you." And that's from a number ending at 555. Thank you for that as well. Right. Okay, we are going to be taking a break, and we will be back very shortly. So we shall see you on the other side. If you do want to ring in on the studio, you can on 01902 972 150, or text in on 07 440 420 432. We would love to hear from you. You are part of the discussions as well. So we shall see you very shortly. Welcome back. You're tuned into Ramadan Radio Wolverhampton on Lou Sisters, the Halal Way, with Alvina Ali. And joining me on the panel is Sister Zainabi and also Councillor Beverly Momin-Badi. Now, still to come, we'll be discussing VE Day, the forgotten Muslim heroes who obviously fought for Britain in the trenches. And then we've got Lou Sisters chat with Councillor Beverly Momin-Badi coming up as well. Now, if you would like to take part in any of the discussion or pop a question to the councillor, feel free to do so on 01902 972 150, or text in on our WhatsApp number, which is 07 440 420 432. Now, Friday gave us a chance for a bit of a distraction from the current doom and gloom of the coronavirus crisis. Now, that's because May the 8th was VE Day. It's an annual commemoration of the end of the Second World War. And it's something of a special VE Day, with this year being the 75th anniversary of the date. Now, this year's May Day bank holiday was switched from Monday the May the 4th to Friday the May the 8th to coincide with the historic occasion. I wasn't aware of that.
Neither was I, actually.
So I think we all could relate to that, couldn't we?
I think it's a bit strange to have you on a Friday, though.
Yes, yeah. But I can understand why they did that anyway. Now, obviously, on May the 8th, 1945, thousands gathered for dancing and singing in the streets of London's West End for the announcement of peace after 6 years of the Second World War. Now, the Queen also delivered a poignant message to mark the 75th anniversary of VE Day, praising the nation's response to the coronavirus outbreak that has filled empty streets with love and care. Now, celebrations were held across the UK with street parties, food, dancing and music, and communities have marked the occasion with celebrations ever since. Now, sadly, we're unable to celebrate in the usual way this year, but that shouldn't mean we should let this important milestone pass by us. So, listeners, have you got a story of VE Day in Wolverhampton? Ask your parents or the elderly in your households, or any relatives, whether they have had any stories that they can share, and perhaps share some photos on our social media as well. Now, if you have, please feel free to ring in on 01902 972 150, or text in on 07 440 420 432. We would love to hear from you. So, sisters, what are your family memories of VE Day, street parties, and how did you mark the occasion?
I think this year, with the lockdown, it was quite difficult to participate in any celebrations, and also with Ramadan as well.
Yes.
But in the past, we've seen like in our local area street parties where neighbours are coming out, and they've also had school celebrations
Yeah.
where the kids are dressed up or they make cakes or banners or posters and have school parties.
Yeah.
And also. At the moment, I think people are still doing their individual barbecues in their back garden, aren't they?
Yeah.
And also doing activities online, making posters, baking. I was reading online, there are people doing window displays of the VE Day,
Yeah.
and also people who've got like front gardens. They're still going out in the street and they're doing their own individual party in their garden, in their front garden, and the neighbours are doing the same.
Oh,
but
right.
they're still maintaining the social
distancing, yeah.
So that's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, I have seen some things online where people weren't social distancing and celebrating VE Day. I don't know if you've seen the conga line that was on the news, but how many people in a street had touched that rope? That wasn't really social distancing, and there are some street parties as well that I've seen online, not in Wolverhampton, but that I've seen across the country where VE celebrations have been celebrated in the normal way, which is worrying. And this is the thing about clear direction and clear instruction from the government that I keep coming back to. But for me, I think from a very young age, so my dad is from Iran, and he came into this country when he was very young. I met my mum, and in our family, VE Day is something that has always been really significant, and my parents always made a point of making sure we never forgot what those that had gone before us had sacrificed for our freedoms, and that's never really changed. So this year was a bit different. Like you said, there was no sort of street party or event to go out to in Wolverhampton, but we did the 2-minute silence in my household.
Oh, okay, yes.
And also watched the Queen's speech, and the Queen said she said a lot of things that were really significant, but one thing that stood out for me was that the streets are not empty, they're filled with love for each other.
Yes.
And that's something that I've really felt in Wolverhampton, that actually physically and aesthetically, yes, the streets are empty, but the kindness that we've seen from people who are checking on their neighbours, who are delivering food parcels, has been really apparent. So for me, it's really important that we always remind the younger generation and generations to come about the sacrifices those people made for our freedoms, to defeat fascism, but also remember that as a country, we didn't do it alone. We had allies. We worked with people who, from other countries, from other faiths, to defeat fascism together, and that's something we should always remember.
Definitely. And I just want to add to that. Many Muslims from the empire fought in the World War II as well, but their sacrifices at the moment are hardly known across wider society. Muslims, alongside their other fellow countrymen from India, provided more soldiers for the war effort than most of the other regions combined. Many of these soldiers were on the front line fighting directly against German forces, like you mentioned, Beverly, playing a crucial role in Battle of Britain. And today we need to remember that these very communities are on the front line of the NHS, fighting the virus, saving lives again and sacrificing theirs. So on this 75th VE Day remembrance, we need to salute everyone who participated really in the war effort. And also, I just want to add to that is I came across this museum. There's a drive to commemorate the forgotten Muslim soldiers in the First and Second World War in Lepa, in Belgian province of West Flanders. There's a wall, a gated wall, which is covered with the names of 54,607 soldiers who were killed in Belgium and many others from the empire, and they're saying that there were around 2.5 million Muslims who fought against France, Britain and Russia.
Oh, right.
That's quite interesting, isn't it?
It is.
You wouldn't think that many people would have participated.
Yeah. true. I've got a text message here. It says, "Hi, we weren't taught the enormity of India, now Pakistan and India contribution in history lessons. Glad I can enlighten my children. However, it should be included clearly in history lessons. Can the council influence the curriculum?" He or she goes on to say that we were all in it together and it should be recognised. In our neighbourhood, we couldn't take a drink outside due to Ramadan. However, we went for a walk, stopped and spoke with neighbours with social distance within the locality. And it was a great feeling. And the little blue heart. Thank you, number ending 550. Councillor, can this be added into the curriculum, do you think?
I mean, the curriculum is set nationally, but I agree with what they've said, that actually maybe we're not aware when we're younger at least of the contributions of other faith communities and how much they did. I have made a point of really seeking this information out as an adult. I think it was last year during the Armed Forces Week in Wolverhampton. Interfaith Wolverhampton held a fantastic event called The Role of Faith in the Armed Forces. And at that event, there was a chaplain from every faith. There was a Muslim chaplain, there was a Christian chaplain, a Buddhist chaplain, and I actually did a blog about what I'd learned. And, you know, we learned about the thousands of Buddhists that have fought for this country, Sikhs, Muslims, and how they still now, you know, fight for this country and to keep this country safe. So I agree with, actually, we need to do more to make sure people know that this was a joint effort to enjoy the freedoms that we have
Definitely. Now. Well, I mean, for me, my first memory was that we celebrated 50 years on our street, which is Austin Street. And this is going back in 1995. And my sister, bless her, she shared the clipping from the Express and Star with us.
Oh, wow.
and so I've actually got it here, ladies, if you want to have a look at the clip. There we go.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Wow.
Right. So again, what we did, we actually held a street party with all our neighbours. We're all singing "We'll Meet Again" and other songs with a bit of dancing. Now the table was laid with curries, rice, kebabs, samosas, cakes and drinks and everything. Now this is really what brought the residents together, and those were the best days, I have to say. Now I can also recollect that I was sitting on the wall and one of the residents had a radio and she had all the war songs on and I was sitting there singing away to them. And I remember Sister Zada, who was our next door neighbour, she actually sort of says to me, she goes, "Oh, you know all the words to the songs and stuff like that." And she goes, how do you know them? She goes, "I hardly ever heard them before." And I told her these were my good old days when I used to work at Wensfield Market.
Oh, okay.
And there used to be a trader who used to have his radio there and he always used to listen to the music. And you know, when you're working, you're serving customers and stuff, the music, although you can hear it in the background, it just sort of the song, the words, because it was regularly
picking it up anyway.
I was picking it up and stuff as well. So obviously that's how our street party and everybody sort of mingled in, and hence the Express and Star was there and picked it up. And the good thing was it was a dead-end cul-de-sac. So it was a street party that we could all organise quite well.
Amazing.
Now, having said that, I spoke to my mum as well, and my grandfather, Abdul Hamid, in Pakistan, he was a very, very strict English teacher, and he's one of those teachers with the canes back home, and he arrived in Britain in 1937 for employment, and he ended up in Bristol. However, he ended up leaving within that year to return back to his country in Pakistan. So obviously World War II started around 1939 and obviously ended 1945. So had my grandfather stayed in Britain, I think he would have shared the stories, but obviously that is the part that got me thinking, what about the forgotten Muslim heroes who fought for Britain in the trenches? Now, you talked about the stories of 2.5 million?
Yeah, 2.5 million soldiers and associates that, you know, worked tirelessly to, you know, with the war effort.
Yeah, so you talked about that. And then obviously they did travel to Europe to fight for the Allies during the First World War. But the First World War, the stories weren't told because obviously there was Muslims there was Sikhs there was Hindus as well, and we had like Spitfire pilots, in all sorts of jobs that they were doing there. Now, it's never been highlighted, but anywhere about the Muslims' participation in the World War One as well as World War Two as well. So we weren't taught about the Muslims or Indians in school, as you've highlighted as well, Zainab. So before I knew how much the Indians and Muslims have contributed growing up, I thought it was a very... Well, people do think it's a very white war, don't they? Because obviously they haven't heard about the other BME groups being there as well. And I looked at one of the facts as well. And some 1.3 million Indian soldiers fought for World War One, of whom 400,000 were Muslims. And in World War Two, about 2.5 million were Indian soldiers, and that included 600,000 Muslims as well.
Wow.
So remembrance, again, is such an important occasion for the whole country, that it is important that we can all take part in it. But as a Muslim, I did not feel a personal connection until now, having looked back at the history of it and catching up and swatting on it. But now I actually take part in fundraising for the poppy appeals that happen every year, because now I understand that it means a lot to me as well.
Yeah, I think as children we did the poppy appeal in schools, and even now they do it at workplaces. You didn't really connect to it, like you said, Alvina, until you read up on all the ethnic groups that participated as well. And it's not just like Europeans that have done the war effort. It's the ethnic minorities as well, and we're all together in this, and we're all part of Britain, and we're all part of the British Empire, really, aren't we?
Yeah. Do you want to add anything? That's all you.
No, I think just my thoughts around this are that still now defeating fascism, like we did then, is a joint effort from all communities.
Yeah. There is that, and then, but obviously Remembrance Day as well. Obviously, this has encouraged me now to lay a wreath as well, and then I think the whole community this way can get involved as well. So that's something to look up to. Got a message from Dr. Malik. He's saying not enough has been done to highlight the contribution of Muslims to the British war effort, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. It goes on to say that when I realised there were very little information on this, I decided to become a teacher myself. Now I go into schools and other organisations. He goes on to say that I think it reduces hate between communities and helps community cohesion. If soldiers of different faiths could fight side by side 100 years ago, why can't we get on as a community group now? Thank you for your comment there. I'm going to go into another comment, which is from Rabia Mirza from Derby. She's saying, I recently learned my great-grandfather, Mirza Feroz Deen, served with the Bombay Engineer Group, building trenches and bases for the British Army.
Wow.
I was never interested in history at school. All I saw was other activities being discussed which never related to me. And she goes on to say, now I know about my great-grandfather. I feel much more in touch with remembrance. I think the schools and media could certainly do more to educate people about the contributions of the Indian soldiers.
Yes, definitely. I think we need to continue to increase awareness. And each year when we commemorate the VE Day, we need to continue to bring in all these other, minority groups in, and, get them to talk about, all their personal family sacrifices and so on, and have more awareness in schools.
Yes. Yeah. I've got another comment, but it hasn't got a name on it. It says Muslim communities are also beginning to hold their own remembrance events for the first time. Okay. And I've got one that says, organizer Hafiz Shaukat Fazil says, it's very important to show the young pupils of the mosque that they have a stake in the country.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that as well. And I've got one that says, In attendance was Jahan Mahmood from Birmingham, who was inspired to become a military historian for his uncle Muhammad Zabir, who served in the British 14th Army in Burma in World War II. Right, thank you for those comments. So I personally think that a positive image does need to be publicised. The role ethnic minority soldiers played in the two world wars could help community cohesion, like one of our messages that came in has says, and tackle the far right narrative as well. Now, again, people have touched up on that the government can do much more in promoting positive messages and the role of Muslim, Hindu and Sikh soldiers who fought in the war. But the council says obviously there's a set curriculum that has been set with regards to education in this country as well.
Well, I mean, the curriculum is set nationally, I think.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm a governor at a school which is it's a Christian school, but there is no doubt in my mind that the way that they teach, you know, highlights the contributions from all faith communities. But, you know, like I said, the curriculum is set nationally. But, you know, as Dr. Malik said, that he's sort of set up something where he goes into schools and talks about this. I don't think there's any reason why in other subjects such as, you know, PSHE, maybe they don't even teach that anymore. Maybe that was when I was religious studies. It's called citizenship now, or even in religious studies, that these things can't be brought in and highlighted at all.
Right, okay. So, yeah, quite powerful messages coming through. Again, it's all about unity across nationality and obviously racial grounds as well. Also, further reading, if anybody does want to do that, there's a good website called The Conversation. And so if anybody wants to catch up on V-Day and coronavirus this time, let's not forget the efforts of the migrants and ethnic minorities. It's a good link there to go. So here we are fighting our very own battle against COVID, and hopefully we will be victorious. We will keep, obviously, social distancing, washing our hands, and keeping safe as well. We are going to go into a nasheed. It's Allah Made Everything, and we shall see you right back after the adverts. And we will be putting the counsellor in the spotlight very shortly. Enjoy the nasheed.
Everything. Allah made everything. Allah made everything. The earth and the blue sky.
Hey, little fish in the bottom of the ocean, moving along in a really cool motion. Did you ever wonder where you came from? Who is the Lord of all creation? The little fish said, that's my Lord. The little fish said, that's my Lord. The little fish said, that's my Lord, Allah, the creator of us all. Hey, little bird, so way up high, light up the sky with your colored design. Tell me who made you and I, me to walk and you to fly. The little bird said, that's my Lord. The little bird said, that's my Lord. The little bird said, that's my Lord, Allah, the creator of us all. Allahu Akbar, our creator, there's no one greater than Allah. So why do we stand tall, too proud to recognize what's right before our eyes, signs from the Lord? Hey, alligator, lay so still. Who's your maker? By whose will? Do you crawl and do you swim? Who controls everything? The alligator said, that's my Lord. The alligator said, that's my Lord. The alligator said, that's my Lord, Allah, the creator of us all. Hey, king of the jungle, the mighty lion, top of the food chain, no denying. But who is the one that you rely on, life or death? Who is deciding? The lion said, that's my Lord. The lion said, that's my Lord. The lion said, that's my Lord, Allah, the creator of us all. Allahu Akbar, our creator, there's no one greater than Allah. So why do we stand tall, my brother, hey, my sister, see yourself as self-sustaining, but don't you see what will come later? We all return to the Creator, then we'll say, that's my Lord, then we'll say, that's my Lord, then we'll say, that's my Lord, oh Allah, forgive us all. I travel the world, north to the south, east to the west, and there ain't no doubt, whoever I see, whatever I found, I can hear them sing out loud. Alhamdulillah, praise my Lord, Alhamdulillah, praise my Lord, Alhamdulillah, praise my Lord, Allah, the creator of us all. Allahu Akbar, our creator, there's no one greater than Allah. So why do we stand tall, too proud to recognize what's right before our eyes, signs from the Lord? 'Cause Allah made everything, Allah made everything, Allah made everything, you and I. Allah made everything, Allah made everything, Allah made everything, the earth and the blue sky. Do we remember Him? Thank Him for everything, surrender to only Him with all our lives. 'Cause Allah made everything, Allah made everything, Allah made everything, you and I. Allah made everything, Allah made everything, Allah made everything, the earth and the blue sky. But do we remember Him? Thank Him for everything, surrender to only Him with all our lives. Allah.
मस्जिद नबवी